This season of Wait For It is brought to you by Big Fig Mattress. So I have a king-size Big Fig because I love to feel luxurious when I sleep, but also when I'm just hanging out, watching television, scrolling my phone, or when I have company over. This mattress is ready to be supportive. Whether you describe yourself as fat, fluffy, plus-sized, or even big-boned, this mattress is going to hold you up. I was apprehensive to get one at first, but Big Fig offers a 120-night trial just to make sure it's the right mattress for you. And trust me, it won't take you that long to decide that this mattress is the one. Go to the link in our show notes and take the Bed Builder quiz to get exclusive discounts on your new Big Fig. Wait For It is a show about the way we feel about our bodies. Consequently, each episode may include references to gaining and losing weight, eating disorders, weight loss surgery, and weight stigma. If these topics are triggering to you, please take care while listening. We have links to support resources for anyone who may need them in our show notes. Wait For It.
And the winner is... Wait For It.
It's Tuesday, March 26, 2024, and I'm in LA giving an acceptance speech at the Podcast Academy Awards. This I recall to my mind, therefore I have hope. It is because of the Lord's mercies that we are not consumed, because his compassions fail not. They are new every morning. Great is thy faithfulness. I want to say thank you to my family, my parents, Ronald Sr., my mother, Peggy Lee, my sister, Marilyn Denise, Bridget Quinn. It's been an incredible year for Wait For It. Giving this speech was one of the culminating moments.
And the winner is... Wait For It.
And because the show won awards in 3 different categories, it would be one of 3 30-second speeches I'll give. Anybody who independently produces understands that you spend so much of your time like by yourself. You know what I mean? Like you're writing and you're editing and you're cutting tape and you're doing all that. And then you have to wonder, like, is this good? Is this good? Are people even going to like it? But I guess I don't have to wonder anymore. I'm excited. I'm proud. Thank you. But I'm not exactly having a great time. About an hour before I give that speech, I get word that my mother was admitted to the hospital. She needed to have a procedure called paracentesis. She'd been experiencing some discomfort in her stomach from a condition called ascites, which is a fluid buildup. It's common for folks who have cancer, late-stage cancer. She hasn't been feeling well for a while. Her birthday was March 23rd, just 3 days before I give that speech in LA. I feel good about leaving because she seemed great on her birthday. On that day, me, my sister Marilyn, and my dad were all at the house with her. We made brunch together, watched movies, and we laughed and laughed like we normally do. When my family gets together, there's often a lot of gentle teasing of one another as we share stories that some of us may have missed. It's always done with love and smiles.
This joke right here.
Like one time, my mother was telling me about my father's tendency to be early to the farmer's market.
I'm standing on the side of the road at 7:25 in the morning wondering, how did I get out here?
You're probably wondering how I got here.
Right. Oh, then this guy, he goes and puts the money in the machine for 3 hours. In the parking meter. In the parking meter. 3 hours. I'm like, what we gonna look at? Right. You laugh it up. You chuckle it up over there, mister. Because we still didn't get the salmon.
Now, you know you gotta get out here early. You couldn't even get no salmon.
Your safety and the safety of those around you.
I get back from LA on Friday, March 29th. By then, my mother was checked out of the hospital and back home. I immediately went to my parents' house to see her. She seemed fine and like herself for the most part. We were talking in her office. It used to be my childhood bedroom. I spent a lot of time in this room. Now, so has she. Praying, studying the Bible, talking to us on the phone and FaceTime, sewing, watching her shows, sitting and thinking. I asked her about what the oncologist said about her ascites. She mentioned a few things he'd said, but struggled to recall the specifics of what he told her. But she had an appointment the following week, and I told her I'd be joining her and Dad this time. Then my dad walks in and asks how the award ceremony went. We talk about that for a while and laugh some more. They seem proud of me. That feels good. I hug them and kiss my mom on the cheek and leave. On Sunday evening, I get a text from my sister who mentions that she needs to talk to me about Mom. She's worried. I'm worried. I call her and she tells me that Mom is having gaps in her memory. She doesn't remember going to church that day. She doesn't remember the last few months. She doesn't remember that her mother died. She doesn't remember that she has cancer. I realized that her struggle to recall the details of her oncology appointment wasn't a coincidence. I'm stunned. I'm scared. I don't know what to say or do. I eventually rally and go to the house and help look after Mom for the next few days. I explain to her repeatedly that we're not sure what's happening in her brain, but she'll be okay. She doesn't remember exactly what's going on because she can't retain anything. But she knows something is wrong. And she keeps asking us, "What's wrong with me? Am I okay? Why does my head hurt so bad?" We take her to the hospital on Wednesday, April 3rd, and we find out that she had a stroke. She actually had multiple strokes, infarctions in the brain. The Young family was now on high alert. I dropped everything to be by her side as much as I could, alternating and working with Marilyn and my dad. We're all hypervigilant. We are a family of faith. We trust God to heal my mom. But what we didn't know then was that March 26th was the beginning of the end game. My mother was going to die. I'm Ronald Young Jr., and this is Wait for It.
Hello. OhitsBigRon Studios.
Wait for it.
Hello.
Waiting. Wait for it.
Hello, it's Peggy Lee.
This season of Wait For It is brought to you by Big Fig Mattress. I've been sleeping on a Big Fig for nearly 2 years now, and let me tell you, this mattress is fantastic. As a bigger guy, I've had problems in the past with mattresses that sag over time, but that's not an issue I've had with Big Fig. From the first time I laid on it, I could tell the difference in support. It held me up without being uncomfortable or hard. It has an extra firm mattress edge that gives a bit of a larger sleep surface. It also has something called thermogel cooling technology that, as a person who is almost always running hot, keeps me nice and cool while I sleep. But also, Big Fig is now more than a mattress company. I recently got a hold of their sheets, pillows, and my personal favorite, a big old fluffy adjustable body pillow. Yes, I said adjustable. You can remove some fluff and make it as soft and squishy as you would like. All of these items are now available on the Big Fig website, and you can bundle multiple items and get discounts as you redo your entire sleep system. Go to the link in our show notes and take the Bed Builder quiz to get exclusive discounts on your new Big Fig. Wait for it.
I noticed it in like late November, early December of last year.
Yeah, I remember the same. It was about December 2023.
Right, yes.
Yeah. I saw Mom. She walked downstairs. She looked at me. And I remember she stood there. She's like, "Hey, Ronald." And I was like, "Hey." And I gave her a hug. And I was like scared. That's me talking to my sister.
My name is Marilyn Denise Young. I am your sister, your older sister.
December 2023 was when we first noticed that my mother had lost a significant amount of weight. Marilyn and I were talking about how we felt when we saw her.
My first thought was relax, Marilyn, because I tend to go way too far down the road. And it was startling to me because it felt like it was happening way too quickly. I thought, oh God, what is this? Immediately. I was scared. I was very scared.
Seeing my mother made me think about Chadwick Boseman. Do you remember when Chadwick Boseman lost a lot of weight?
Yes. I remember seeing him and thought, wow, he's really slim, when he was in that nice white kingly looking outfit at the Oscars or something, one of those. And I remember thinking, he looks really nice. He seems thin.
Chadwick Boseman, the actor who played T'Challa or the Black Panther as a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He also played the roles of important Black historical figures Jackie Robinson, Thurgood Marshall, and James Brown. He was beloved in the Black community, and personally, I'd become a huge fan of his career.
And it's crazy because I did not see a lot of him before he passed away.
Chadwick Boseman died of colon cancer in 2020. His death was a shock to many of us. Most people didn't know he was sick until after he died. He kept it very private, and we misread the signs. There were discussions and even some headlines about the state of his body. He'd done a live stream for charity, and a bunch of commenters were all talking about the fact that he was too skinny. Only a few commenters expressed actual worry or concern. It was more about the aesthetic. For a long time, it was impressed upon me that losing weight was always a good thing. I'm used to thinking about my own weight, but noticing my mother's weight, especially in this way, was new. If you're straight-sized and have never been fat, it seems that you have a threshold for weight loss. You can read the limits of the threshold in people's faces and words. You haven't reached it as long as you're getting compliments and encouragement. Typically, we don't get looks of concern or worry when we're losing weight unless we've exceeded that threshold. My mother had exceeded the threshold. At other times in her life, I think she would have been happy to lose weight, would have loved to get compliments and congratulations. She was like as athletic as she could be,
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I feel like that was she was, I think, because mom looked at herself in the mirror sometimes and was like, my face is chubby.
Right.
Or like probably the same ways that you think about yourself.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then when it got to the point where she wasn't eating or drinking, that's when we it was just like, yo, we can't even, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? So, but now my mother was also concerned about her weight loss and was struggling with her appetite. Recently, I found a video on her phone where she reached out to a friend of hers who had beaten cancer for advice.
Hi, Carolyn. I think we're playing FaceTime tag. Anyways, I just had a question. When did you get your appetite back? Yeah, because I'm having difficulty with that. All right, then. Bye-bye.
Most times I've seen my mother worried, it was on our behalf, my father, my sister, or me. But in this video, I saw something in my mother that I recognized as I'd begun to see it frequently in the months leading up to her death. She was worried and afraid of what was happening to her. I don't know that Marilyn or I will ever be able to see a person lose weight and not think the worst ever again.
I don't associate it with anything good. I think it's something horrible has happened. They're stressed. Even while we were going through it, Dad lost a lot of weight, and it was frightening.
I don't remember a specific moment when I noticed my dad's weight loss. When you get older, the less time you spend around your parents, the less time you spend examining them. But I do remember the first salient thought I had about my dad's suddenly lean frame, and it was, how could our bodies be so different? The second thought was he always this small? The physical differences between me and my dad are a deep source of insecurity for me. For a while, it was just height-based. He stands at 6 feet tall, and I'm 5'9". But as I gained weight as an adult, I noted that he's much leaner than I am. My dad is former military and goes to the gym every day. He's a fit person. He has broad shoulders and just looks like the type of person that if something went down, he'd be ready to go. Some of that is also in his personality. Former drill sergeant, longtime preacher, and assistant pastor at my church, my dad is reliable and ready to support the people that he loves. Physically, he's just always looked like a solid person you can depend on. But when my mom got sick, my dad got very stressed. With my mom's illness came the awareness of her mortality. Being there more meant that I began to examine my father more closely as well. I was worried about both of them.
And it wasn't always Dad's weight. It was when somebody says they looked haggard, Dad looked haggard in his face, and that was frightening for us.
During this time, I didn't lose weight. I gained weight because unlike my father, I'm a stress eater. It's something I learned about myself because of something else that happened that involved my mother. 9/11. Yes, the actual 9/11. At the time, my mother was working at the Pentagon. I was in leadership class when Corey McConnell ran by the door and said, "They just flew planes into the Pentagon and World Trade Center." I ran to the band hallway where there was a phone and called my mom. She immediately answered, and she said she was fine. She was answering phones and she basically got staffed up for a temporary work detail while she was there because she didn't run and everybody else ran, which was wild. They sent us home. I went home and it was like, you get out of high school like 2:00. So it's 2 p.m. I'm home. News is on. And I remember the weekend before that, Mom had gone to Costco and she came home and she said, "Hey, Ronald, I got you these chicken enchiladas. That way, if you get hungry when you get off of school, you can eat some of these chicken enchiladas throughout the week." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, Mom." I was like, "Great." She bought those chicken enchiladas on Saturday.
Right.
9/11 was on Tuesday.
It was
on a Tuesday. So I hadn't touched those chicken enchiladas on Monday. On Tuesday, I get home. And I'm like, I walk in the house and I'm crazy hungry. So I'm like, I eat some chicken enchiladas. And then the phone starts ringing off the hook. And I'm worried. And you called too, because you were in Norfolk State.
Yes.
People from church,
right.
Everybody around just being like, "Is Mom okay? Is Mom okay?" And I'm getting worried. Two things happened. One, I ate some chicken enchiladas. I'd answer the phone. And then someone would call again. I'd eat some more chicken enchiladas. And then someone called again. I ate some more chicken enchiladas. They were gone. And then I passed out on a nap for like 3 hours till Dad came home. "Hey, boy." I'm like, "Okay, Dad's home." And the Mom didn't end up coming home till 8:00. And I'm like, "Everybody's chill." You know what I mean? Like, we good. And I think that's when I first realized that I was a stress eater.
Wow.
So during this entire process, and Dad acknowledged it at one point too, because what happens is I won't eat for a while, because I'm stressed.
Yes.
And then I'll have a little bit of a relief and then I'll just eat everything.
Anything in sight. I agree. Yes.
Yeah. Marilyn understood because she too is a stress eater.
Mid-20s, relationships with some guy didn't work out, thought he was doing something he didn't have no business. Let me eat this entire pizza, that type of thing. Or just sit watching TV stressed, eating all the snacks in the house, which is why I don't keep snacks in the house now, which is crazy because I love snacks.
I think I realized when I knew that you were a stress eater, we were dropping you off at Norfolk State University. And we had dropped you off. We had brought all this food for you and you had your sheets and stuff. You were setting up the room. While we were there, something had happened. I don't remember what it was. And you were like, "Oh man," you got upset and you goes, "Where are those Oreos?" At the moment. And this was like, and I remember dad was like, "You don't need to be eating all those Oreos." He's like, when you get hungry, read the Bible.
I think I remember that.
Marilyn and I were built differently than my dad. So during our mom's decline in health, while our dad is losing weight and looking haggard, Marilyn and I were gaining weight and probably still looking haggard. And despite this chaotic moment of crisis with obviously bigger fish to fry, both of us desired to be more like my father in the most inconsequential of ways.
People are going through stuff every day, hard stuff, and it affects you, whether you like it or not. Dad tends to lose weight, which I would love to have that. Thank you. But no, I don't have that. I have the gain. So,
Why would you love to have that?
I would rather be smaller than I am. But it's not a healthy thing at all. Because like we were frightened for Dad. If I was to, because I unfortunately stress a lot. Less than I used to, but I tend to get stressed. And, I say I want that because I would look cute in my clothes, but you would still be stressed.
I think that's one thing that gets me. I think the same thing. I'm like, man, it must be a gift to lose weight when you are stressed. I hate that this is a real thought that we have. We're losing our mother, and both Marilyn and I agree that it would be easier if we were also losing weight. And in the middle of this crisis, my thoughts on weight have gone into overdrive. I'm noticing weight all around me now more than ever. My moms, my dads, the doctors and nurses, other visitors, everyone. I'm wondering how they handle stress. I'm wondering what they think of me. And this isn't just in my head. I'm still getting validation from folks all around me that despite being in grief, me being fat is still up for discussion. As I'm spending more time at church recently, I'm hearing the comments from folks who haven't seen me there in a while about how I look.
I didn't recognize you because you gained so much weight.
You're not running any marathons this year, huh?
I used to have a gut like you, but I lost 30 pounds.
After my mom died, my father, sister, and I went to the funeral home to plan the homegoing service arrangements. I remembered sitting there in a state of shock that we were doing this. It was surreal. But even in that moment, weight came up. One guy, in an effort to be congenial with my dad, pointed out that he's in good shape as a 70-year-old man. He then says, "I'm always wondering how Elder Young keeps the weight off." Apparently, my dad is still within the compliment and congratulations threshold of weight loss. As we continued looking at caskets, I noticed that there was an additional cost for bigger caskets for folks over a certain weight, which I exceeded. That same weight limit existed for cremation. I thought to myself, whoever has to dispose of my body is going to have to pay extra. I don't want to notice anyone's weight. And the way I try to offset the noticing is by making sure I never talk about it. I try not to engage in weight conversations outside of the discussions of this podcast, of course. But not talking about it isn't making me more liberated. It doesn't stop the noticing. Some of this is the byproduct of my instinctual urge to want to know if I'm the fattest person in a given room. This is similar to the way that I count Black people in rooms that are largely white. There's a pecking order with race and weight, and in real time, I find myself looking for allies and sympathizers. But I don't really understand why I couldn't turn this part of my brain off when my mom was dying in front of me. This season of Wait For It is brought to you by Big Fig Mattress. Now, I know there are other mattress companies out there, but Big Fig is specifically designed for fat folks. They've made a quality mattress that will last 20 years with a full replacement warranty and a 120-night trial just to make sure it's the right mattress for you. You know, sometimes when I travel, after a few nights of sleeping on those hotel beds, coming home to my Big Fig mattress is a vacation from my vacation. And listeners, you can have that vacation too. Go to the link in our show notes and take the Bed Builder quiz to get exclusive discounts on your new Big Fig.
Wait for it.
Typically, depending on what the decision is or what choice you're getting ready to make, I will hold my peace and wait until you come and ask me. Now, some stuff, we can't say anything about. We want to say something, but what we've learned also is that if, and I'm probably giving away all my secrets right now.
Go for it. Hey, we're adults. We're all adults here.
That's my mom talking with me on the very first episode of my very first podcast, Time Well Spent. She's talking about her strategy for advising us when it came to making big decisions.
We would say, well, you can do it this way or you can do that, but the choice is ultimately yours. And then we would say, well, you know what you're doing. We really hope you did know
We did know what you were doing.
We did hope that.
My mom was very intentional in her parenting style. She was always available when we needed her. She could always tell when we were stressed out. My mother could see when I was upset to the tiniest degree. She could read at 100 yards if I wasn't well. She would sense it even if she hadn't seen me recently. She would call and ask, "Are you well?" And typically, those calls only happened when she had sensed correctly that I was not. Sometimes she would use our bodies as a barometer for the state of our minds. I told Marilyn a story about the time Mom had a good read on me at my college graduation. So when mom came to graduation, and she saw me, and I remember she mentioned this. She was like, "Are you good? Are you okay?" And I remember I was not okay. I was stressed out from like work, all that stuff, and I had like put on a lot of weight at that moment, and like she could tell like my face was puffy, whatever. But I remember mom noticing and being immediately identifying that the problem was not the weight, but the weight was indicative of something else. And she didn't moralize the weight. Mm-hmm. She was like, "You are stressed. You will be okay," which is fine. You know what I mean?
She's amazing that way.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. Marilyn and I both had stories like this about mom, where she looked at our physical state and identified something else was going on. Ironically, it was also at Marilyn's college graduation.
When I graduated, my hair was crazy. I let my friends perm my hair. It looked all wild. And she saw me, and you guys were there. And I really was happy to see you. But I think there was a bit of manic craziness behind
you were definitely crazy. I remember.
And it was stress. It was stress. And mom knew it right away. And mom had a good way of getting, we're not sainthooding mom. She was definitely human, but she was good about that, about finding that it wasn't a moral issue.
I know weight isn't a moral issue. I know it isn't. I also know that a person's body isn't always directly related to their trauma, or that how anyone looks should be automatically assumed to be symptomatic of anything else. Sometimes my mom noticed my weight in a way that I hated. She used to rub my stomach when I saw her and say, "Ooh, boy, what you been eating?" She would always say it while smiling and laughing, that gentle teasing. I knew she didn't mean no harm, but it always made me feel self-conscious, and I wished I could shrink myself. Sometimes with all the negative feedback I get from the world about being fat, my mother rubbing my stomach and reminding me I'm fat didn't feel like love. It felt like ridicule. But I know that my mom loved me.
Mom just loved you. She just loved us. It didn't matter. She just loved us, and that was good. You knew that we knew that she loved us. We didn't have to question it. We knew it.
I fundamentally know that this is true. When my mom got sick, sometimes I would sit next to the bed and hold her hand. I would kiss her head and rub her legs and feet. Towards the end, my mom would go in and out of delirium. Sometimes she'd be with us, and sometimes she wasn't.
I feel like it was hard at the end. It seemed like she was just going through so much that we weren't a part of. We were there for her, so whenever she had lucid moments and was able to recognize us, we were there, and I think she was glad to see us. But it was just hard, and I wish that it wasn't so hard for her.
I know it was hard for her. It was hard to watch her suffer. Sometimes I would stand next to the bed and cry quietly. Sometimes I wouldn't be crying, but I'd be visibly upset. I couldn't hide it. I just wanted her to be healed. When she saw that I was upset, sometimes she would reach out and rub my stomach. She was dying, but she was still being my mom. She wanted me to be okay. I knew it wasn't to make me feel bad about being fat. I knew it was because she loved me and she wanted me to feel better. Those belly rubs on her deathbed unraveled my feelings of self-consciousness. I no longer felt like I needed to shrink myself. I didn't feel ridiculed. I felt loved. And I wish I could say I'm now liberated. I wish I could say that epiphany rang deep into my soul and changed the way that I view myself and the way others view me. But it didn't. I am still thinking about being fat. I'm still noticing the weight. My mother is gone, and I'm left here with my sorrow.
We're kind of proud of you now. You've come a long way, and we really appreciate both of you. We see where we have grown, and we've also seen where you have grown as
Absolutely.
well. We've seen where...
And we have grown proud of you.
Yes. Hey!
Thank you.
All right, love you. All right, Marilyn. All right, bye-bye.
All right.
So we have to do the music?
Wait For It is a production of OhitsBigRon Studios and is a proud member of Radiotopia from PRX, a network of independent, creator-owned, listener-supported podcasts. Discover audio with vision at radiotopia.fm. This episode was produced and edited by me, Ronald Young Jr. Our story editor is Sarah Deely. Sound design and mixing from the Reverend John Delore of Starlight Diner. Show art by Heather Wilder. Episode art by Andy J. Pizza. Theme music from Jey Red, with additional music from Mass Potential, The Artist DT, and the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder. Special thanks to my sister, Marilyn Denise Young, my father, Ronald Young Sr., our dear friend, Carolyn Perry, and of course to my mother, the late and always great, forever loved, Peggy Lee Young. You can follow me on Instagram, Threads, X, and TikTok at OhitsBigRon. That's at OhitsBigRon. You can find out more about this show and other OhitsBigRon Studios shows by following us on Instagram at OhitsBigRon Studios. If you have a story about weight you'd like to share with us, shoot us an email at weight@OhitsBigRon.com. That's WEIGHT @OhitsBigRon.com. Wait For It will be back next week. Thanks for listening. Wait for it. So, can you start by just telling me your name and who you are?
My name is Marilyn Denise Young. I am your brother, sister.
What an idiot.
Are you not recording this? I hope not.
No, this is definitely being recorded.
Oh, God, no, Ronald, don't record this part. All right.
Radiotopia from PRX.